All right, everybody. Today we are here with Dalton Godfrey. How are we doing today?
Oh, doing good. Doing good. How are you?
Great. And for those who don't know, Dalton was a long snapper at the University of South Dakota. And so let's start off beginning. When, where, why did you start playing football?
When, where, why? I think it was, I don't even know when, to be honest with you. Why? Because my parents probably just wanted to keep me and my sister busy. So they put us in sports at a young age. So we had something to do. Um, yeah. Where was probably hometown of Cedar Falls, Iowa. It's pretty much where I grew up. When I was younger, lived in So born in South Bend, lived in Cedar Falls, lived in Texas, and then lived in Cedar Falls again for pretty much the entire time I grew up. So yeah, I've been playing when I was younger. I played a lot of baseball, a lot of football, a lot of basketball, and a little golf sprinkled in there too. So it's been quite the journey as far as sports go.
Yeah, and then in terms of your position, I know you were kind of, a linebacker coming out of high school. What made you want to make the switch from linebacker to long snapper?
So I grew up kind of long snapping a little bit, just as something extra to do. My dad always told me it's just good to have an extra tool in the toolbox when you're getting recruited. Might help you add a few more teams to the people that are looking at you for scholarships and in college athletics and stuff like that. And so I had a few offers to play linebacker in college, and University of South Dakota reached out to me, had me on a game day visit, and they asked if I'd want to play long snapper. And I really hadn't given it much thought. Was kind of taken aback when they first asked me. I was like, this could be interesting. But ended up really enjoying my visit. I ended up going on an official visit there as well with some guys who ended up committing there. Had a really fun time. Had a great visit with coaching staff and really enjoyed it. And so I ended up basically committing to South Dakota based on the feeling that I got there, not necessarily the position they were going to have me play. So, but it was definitely a good decision overall.
Yeah, that was kind of already answered my next question. That was going to be why South Dakota?
Yeah.
You touched on it a little bit, but tell me a little bit more about, the small town aspect. You had other offers, I believe, in your home state as well, right?
Yep. I kind of could have walked on to Iowa at offers or whatever kind of offer you can get from Drake University. They're non-scholarship league, but they can still lower your cost of attendance or whatever it is or tuition. And then I had an offer from University of Northern Iowa as well, and then a few other FCS teams interested. And so I kind of just decided to go off and do my own thing at South Dakota. And I really like Coach Nielsen, the small town community of Vermilion. Definitely drew me in, that's for sure. And then Coach Prevost, who was my recruiting coach and was kind of called himself the snappers coach, but kind of just looked after us a little bit. Did a really good job of recruiting me. We're involved throughout the whole process, and basically ended up giving me everything they ever promised me and more. And so I can't thank them enough for it.
Yeah. And then speaking of coach, you were the first special teams player in his 30 years to be named a team captain. What does that mean to you to represent, your entire team?
Yeah, it was something that Coach saw coming, and I think I've said this before. Coach saw coming before I did. I think he was always one that pushed me and encouraged me to be more of a leader, more of a leader. And I thought I was doing good enough. And he's like, I think you can do more. I think you can do more. Whenever we had our end of the year meetings, spring meeting, mid year meetings, and stuff like that, every time I got a chance to meet with him and talk with him, he always encouraged me, hey, you can do more in the weight room. You can do more off the field. You can do more on the field. And I think he just had a real sense that guys actually do listen to what I'm saying when I'm speaking, and it might change their opinion or the way they go about something. And that's really, if you have the ability to just naturally influence people and help them along. I think Coach saw that in me, maybe before I saw it myself, and he kind of pushed me to that point. And those guys ended up voting me as one of their captains this year, which was really special. So I was pretty excited and happy to be recognized for that.
Yeah, and then obviously, playing on special teams, you're not as recognized as some of the other guys on the team. Do you think that gives you a little bit more of a chip on your shoulder that you kind of fly under the radar?
I don't know if it gives me a chip on my shoulder. I think maybe there's an extra sense of pride that every time I go out there, it means something. Every time I go out on the field, there's an exchange of possession usually, or we're going for points. And exchanges of possession are usually a pretty big deal in football, as well as points being very valuable in the game we play. And so I think it's a little different than other positions where you're out there and not many people throw an 80-yard bomb on every play, or there's not a turnover every play. Well, every time I go out there, there's either a turnover technically, or there's points being scored, hopefully. So I feel like that's kind of interesting, and it's definitely a bigger sense of pride and accomplishment every time you go out there, rather than playing 60 or 70 snaps a game when maybe there's not a whole lot of action on some of the plays.
Yeah, so pretty much guys, either really want to see you on an extra point or just don't want to see you when it's a punt.
Exactly. Yeah. The goal is to not have anybody know who you are. They don't want to see you. The fans hate seeing you on punt, but love to see you on field goal.
Yeah. And then speaking of kind of going under the radar, you're listed as an offensive lineman on, most of the rosters. But as a long snapper, how is that kind of different from you in terms of training wise? I'm sure you're not training with the rest of the offensive linemen. It's got to be something different that you do in your workouts.
Yeah, so actually it's kind of funny. I actually train with the offensive linemen for strength and for lifting, and then when we go to the on-field plyometrics and speed work, I'll train with the skills. So that's kind of how it shuffles a little bit. So I'll go in and I'll do the big boy lifting and the squats and the deadlifts and the cleans and everything. And then when it comes time to do the running, I kind of have to play both worlds and get my lungs and legs working so that I'm able to do the plyometrics and the speed work that they want me to do with the skills and the big skills. So kind of both worlds.
Do you think that that's kind of helped you more as a player, kind of playing a little bit of both, in terms of your training and like getting stronger, that kind of stuff?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm able to gain a little bit of size and strength working with the offensive linemen and being able to push those guys and have those guys push me. And then at the same time, getting pushed by the speed guys and the real athletes when you go down on the turf and start having to run and keep up with those guys. So I'd say it definitely gives me an upper edge on a lot of the guys out there.
Yeah, and then I noticed on your academic page here, lots of academic awards. What is the student aspect of being a student athlete been like for you, and how have you kind of lived that?
Yeah, so for me, growing up, my parents were always academics, and so they pushed that really hard. And then basically, I pretty much bought into it starting in college, and it kind of turned into a competition of seeing how I was able to do versus other guys and pushing myself to try and be perfect in the classroom. I wasn't always perfect. Didn't get 100%. Obviously, it's pretty tough to do, but kind of competed with myself and competed with other guys in classes, and always wanted to be the best. I mean, I feel like if you're going to compete in one area of life, might as well compete in all of them. So compete on the field, compete in the weight room, compete in the classroom. That's pretty much how it goes for me.
Yeah. And then what degrees are you working on right now from college?
So I graduated in 2021 or 2020 maybe, with a degree in kinesiology, sports science kinesiology, sport management from USD in my undergraduate, and then I graduated in 2021 with a graduate in kinesiology, sport management with an emphasis in exercise science, and then I'm currently working on my master's in business administration. I just did the general MBA, and I have one class going right now, my capstone class. So almost finished with that, taking that online, and that'll be done early May, late April. So.
Yeah, that's awesome. 3 degrees is crazy. Let's say football doesn't work out for you. What are you planning to do with those 3 degrees? Because that's impressive.
Yeah, I don't really know at this point. Being in sports, I always told people, being in sports, it's kind of hard to see yourself leaving it. Whether I stay in football or not, it's enjoyable to be around athletes, people wanting to be the best that they can be, always pushing themselves. Have a lot of people having a team first mindset if you're in a team sport, and if you're in an individual sport, it's always I got to get myself around competition and better myself. So it's kind of tough to see myself not be in that environment. And so right now it's kind of either coaching, athletic administration, sports administration, front office stuff, something like that is kind of what I'm hoping for. But focused on a career in football first and foremost right now.
Yeah, just sports in general. Sounds
Mm-hmm.
great.
Yep.
So let's talk a little bit about the NFLPA Bowl. I know definitely something that they emphasize a lot in that event is kind of off the field football stuff. What were some of the things you were able to take away from, like, the talks, all that kind of stuff that they had?
Yeah, basically everybody was talking about when it comes to off the field stuff, the NFL stands for not for long. So basically enjoy it while you can. I mean, in college, you're kind of guaranteed 3 to 5 years. I had 6 years. If you're lucky in the NFL, you might not be guaranteed a single practice. So I mean, there's some guys who get drafted and play 20 years, or some guys who sign free agent deals and play 20 years, or some guys who go to rookie mini camps and play 20 years. There's some guys who get drafted and they're cut a year later and they never see the field again. Same with free agents, same with guys at rookie mini camp. And there's some guys who never get a call. So their main focus was enjoy all the experiences you do get, leave it all on the field. And then if you happen to be able to get in the league, make sure that you treat everybody right, do the right things. That way, when it comes time to be done and do the off the field stuff, that you have the right connections with the right people in order to live your life after football.
Yeah. And then the coaches there, obviously Hall of Famers, legendary coaches, and just like staff in general. What were some of the things you've been able to take away from them in terms of like football advice?
In terms of football advice, you have to pretty much give it your all. I mean, everybody is starting on the same level again. No matter if you're drafted, if you're a free agent, if you're getting a camp invite, everybody starts on the same level. You're not above anybody else. Everybody's got I mean, for me, it's special teams is all I've got as far as a chance to make it. But they mainly told a lot of the other guys, no matter if you get drafted first round, second round, third round, or you're a undrafted rookie free agent, you got to fight for those spots on special teams in order to be able to play initially for most guys. So basically, you're not better than anyone out there. You got to treat yourself and treat your teammates like you're the low man on the totem pole no matter what, and go out there and give it your all. And then to go along with that, it was just crazy how humble a lot of the coaches were. I mean, Coach Eddie George, one of the best running backs of all time, over 10,000 yards, Heisman winner, jersey and number and name and Ring of Honor at the Titans, and number retired at Ohio State, stuff like that. Probably going to be in the Hall of Fame sometime soon. And just the way that he's able to go around and there's not 1 ounce of cockiness in the guy, and he shakes everybody's hand, asks them genuinely how they're doing that day. It really shows you that no matter how good you are, you can always be a good person. And so that was something that I really took away from that, it was really cool to see, because sometimes you don't expect that out of somebody. And when you have a guy of that stature and have that kind of legacy and career to be that type of guy, it was really cool to see.
Yeah, definitely. And then you and your former teammate, I believe, right? They kicked the game-winning field goal.
Mm-hmm.
What was that like in terms of like, setting it up? I know I saw him practicing on the sidelines right before, but does it ever get you a little bit nervous, or are you just like playing it cool?
Yeah, so I was on the other team as Eddie. We unfortunately were on the same team, which sucked. But I mean, I was certainly nervous for him. He got the late call in that week. I don't think he came in until, I think I saw him Wednesday night. The guy on the other team, unfortunately, had an injury coming in, kind of re-aggravated it, wasn't able to go. Eddie was the next man up on the list. They called him. He got in Wednesday night at like 8 o'clock. Practiced Thursday, did a walkthrough Friday, and was ready to go on Saturday. He had a pretty good game. I think he missed 1 extra point or field goal. I can't remember. But when it came down to the game-winning field goal, I mean, I'm on the other team, but I was definitely rooting for that to go through the uprights. I was excited for him being able to come in like that, and then show everybody that he has the nerve and what it takes to be able to put that ball through the uprights was pretty sweet.
Yeah, and then in terms of guys in the NFL, this is a question that I ask pretty much like everybody that I interview, and I'm interested to see what your response is. Is what are some of the guys that like you're watching in the league, obviously at your position, long snapper, and do you take anything from film or something like that?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's just a few guys out there, particularly in my position. I look at guys like Luke Rhodes and Christian Kuntz, guys who are good athletes and good ball players who were able to transition their abilities to being able to be a good long snapper and make a name for themselves in the league. And they're not very selfish and they're not bombastic. They're very chill. They like to do their work, get the job done and get out. Those are guys that I look at, and they have extremely good preparation and attention to detail, I think, as far as the long snapper position. But then, like, as far as other positions, you look at guys like Jason Kelsey, Travis's brother, obviously. You look at him and the hard work that he puts in. I was listening somewhere this year, and I mean, he's not obviously as big as everybody else, but I mean, sometimes he gets down to 265, 270 during the year. As the year goes on, he's not a very big guy, and he gives it all he's got and puts it all out there on the line for his team and does everything that he can to help his team win. So from a other position group wise, looking at guys, that's somebody I would look to.
It's all about the pad level.
Exactly.
Yeah, and then who was your favorite NFL player, either currently or growing up? You can answer both.
Yeah, growing up, I mean, one of my dad's buddies that he went to college with at Iowa played in the league for 16 years, playing for the Bears, the Broncos, and the Chiefs. So growing up, we were all about him. His name's Casey Wigman. He's from Appleton Parkersburg, Iowa, and played at the University of Iowa and was a center in the league for 16 years and a Pro Bowl guy, and really looked up to him and still talk to him quite a bit. So growing up, he was definitely my favorite player. And then today, I don't know if I necessarily have a favorite player. I mean, I have teams that I root for and stuff, but a favorite player, I don't. It's weirder, like, as you get older and you realize that the guys are pretty much the same age as you. I don't really have a favorite player. I don't know. I don't know if that's weird or not.
Favorite long snapper? I mean,
favorite long snapper, yeah, is probably Luke Rhodes.
Colts, right?
Yep, at the Colts.
Look at that.
I'm gonna look up to him.
Yeah. And then what's something you're still trying to work on for draft prep, whether that be speed, strength, anything like that?
Yeah, just consistency with the snapping ability, being able to snap and block is something that I didn't have to do a lot in college. And so being able to work on that heading towards pro day, it's just something completely different than what I'm used to. And so I've just been really, really, really trying to focus on it, making sure I snap well, and then get into the blocking sequence and be ready to take on some of those D linemen or linebackers that are in the league and strong and bigger and more athletic than what you're supposed to be. And so that's kind of something that I've really been trying to hone in on and focus on throughout the spring, and as pro day comes, and really trying to work on that. So
yeah. And then in terms of your snapping, do you ever do a target practice or something fun like that just to switch it up a little bit, go for accuracy?
No, I don't necessarily do a target practice, but right now I'm snapping to it's like a a strike zone for
Gotcha. Yeah.
baseball. So there's a strike zone on the pad that I use, and there's marks on the pad and on the thing that's hanging. So I try and pick out specific spots on the strike zone that I want to try and hit. But I don't set up tennis balls or targets or anything like that I'm trying to hit. But you just play those small little games where you try and aim small, miss small, basically.
Yeah, you gotta have some fun with it.
Yep, exactly.
And then in terms of your diet, what's that looking like right now as someone that has to keep their stature? A lot of protein?
Yeah, I pretty much I eat the same thing. And when I'm not traveling, I've been traveling quite a bit the last few weeks, going places to train with other guys and compete with other guys. But when I'm home, it's pretty boring. It's the same thing every day. I wake up, I have a protein shake with some banana, peanut butter, protein, some creatine, some oats, and some honey. And then for breakfast, I have 2 bagels, one with 4 eggs on it, and then one with peanut butter and jelly. And then I have a few snacks throughout the day, whether it be some granola or some yogurt or something like that. And then for dinner, it's usually, recently it's been chicken. Sometimes it's steak, chicken, throwing a little shrimp every now and then a cup of rice with some Frank's hot sauce and some Trader Joe's. I think it's jalapeno barbecue or something like that. Throw a few dabbles of that on it to give it some taste. And then before bed is another protein shake. And it's pretty much the same thing every day, but it tastes good. So I don't complain.
Yeah, hey, it works. It works.
Exactly.
What flavor protein are we talking about? Are you a vanilla guy, chocolate?
Me and my fiance, we rotate kind of between the vanilla and there's a cookies and cream one that we like a lot, so we kind of rotate between those two.
Yeah, that's definitely the best one. You get a good mix of both.
Exactly. Yeah, the vanilla is really good, and it kind of goes with anything, so that makes it really easy. Then cookies and creams also, it's just a staple for us, and we enjoy it.
Yeah, and then ultimate cheat meal, whatever you want to eat. What are we talking about here?
Yeah, so I don't know. That's always a tough one. I mean, cheat meal, like the entree, like it's basically something that I'd eat no matter what. Like I just go for a big juicy steak, but then I'd add like a bunch of fries to it. I dig fries, and like even the past few weeks when I'm traveling, like I'll order fries. I won't eat all of them though, because sometimes it just makes me sick. But yeah, I'll dig on some fries, and then the desserts is what really gets me going when it comes to cheat meals. I'm a big sweet tooth, and that's pretty much the reason that I like to have the protein shake at the end of the night. Most of the time, it treats it as dessert. Every now and then we'll have some Halo Top ice cream, but that's only like 110 calories.
That's not real dessert, though.
Yeah, I know, but when it's time to get down and dirty with the desserts, I'll pull out some real ice cream and some cheesecake and really start cheating. Yeah, the cheesecake's a big staple in my dessert diet, if that's what we're getting into.
Yeah, and then what are some of your hobbies outside of football?
Right now in the winter, it's pretty much just watching a bunch of sports. I'll pretty much watch anything if it's on TV, but when it's nice out, I enjoy being on like a lake or river with friends. My family's got a place on a river, so I just enjoy being out on the boat, being able to relax a little bit, maybe throw the skis on and do some water skiing if it's not too close to season or to any sort of competition. Then I also like to golf a lot. That's a lot of fun with the boys, being able to go out there and compete with everybody. While at the same time having a lot of fun and joking around and laughing and giggling and getting away from football a little bit, which is a lot of fun. So yeah, pretty much those two. Besides that, I wouldn't say too many other hobbies, but like to work out, but that's still part of the job technically. So I don't know if it counts as a hobby.
And then I know there's a lot of hunting and fishing in that, general area of like Iowa, the Midwest. Have you ever done that?
I've gone hunting a few times. Never taken a shot at anything. Not much of a hunter. I like sitting out in the cold weather. I don't really care. Like I don't mind the cold, but if you're intentionally just like sitting out there, it's not really for me. I'll fish though. I enjoy fishing. Sitting on a dock or going out and finding a nice honey hole, something to take it. There's a nice thrill when you reel it in. I usually just catch and release, but yeah, not too big on that. I mean, if it's a nice day and you're able to go fishing, I'd rather be on the golf course. And then I guess some of my buddies, they'll bring probably shouldn't tell you this, but they'll bring their fishing pole with them and do a little fishing on the golf course when they can. But But yeah, if it's a nice day to fish, it's a nice day to golf. So I'd probably be heading to the golf course. But nice early morning, and some guys want to go fishing. I'll certainly join them.
Yeah, sounds like fun. And then speaking of the cold, are you much of an ice bath guy? Like, how do you decompress after training?
I do like an ice bath. Yeah, I like an ice bath for sure. When we're in the prime of off season workouts, heat and ice, just keeping the blood flowing, moving at all times. Got a what's it called? Like a Theragun for Christmas. So that's nice. But yeah, recovery, basically good sleep, rolling out. I do a lot of stretching. Theragun, nice heating pad. Right now I don't have technically an ice bath, but cold showers are taken every now and then. Help with inflammation and stuff like that. But recovery, especially when you're doing like 2-a-day sessions of working out and then going to snap and run, being able to fight that inflammation and recover well is certainly part of the gig.
Yeah. And then when you're working out, training, whatever, there's got to be some days where you're like, "Oh, it's an off day. You're just not feeling it." What keeps you motivated and going?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's important to realize that too. Like when your body's not feeling your best, you gotta respect yourself and be like, hey, we gotta push through today a little bit. We also gotta realize mentally, like it's some days you just don't have it. Some days it's not there, but you gotta get the job done and do what you can. But in terms of motivation, I mean, you got to realize that not everything's going to be perfect, and that's one of the things that sometimes struggle with is you don't have to be perfect every single day. Right now, the goal is to get there, but the dream that you keep on chasing and the vision that you see in your head of one day running out of one of those tunnels with a nice NFL logo on your helmet, someday is kind of pretty much what keeps it going at all times. And you remember that and dream of that when you were a kid. You don't want to let that little kid down, that little 7-year-old you, let yourself down. So that's pretty much what keeps me motivated.
Yeah, that's awesome. And then finishing us off for today, what is something you've learned from playing football from a coach, teammate, whoever, that you apply off the football field?
That's a lot to narrow down.
When we get into the real good life advice.
I was going to say, yeah, this one's a tough one, especially coming from a school like USD. We do this thing after practice called on deck. We do on deck all the time. And so what that is after we practice, a player or a coach has the opportunity to come up and speak and give the team what they think is advice or what their story is or their why. And so over the course of 6 years of playing, you get to hear from a lot of different coaches and a lot of different guys out there, basically, who give you advice or give you pieces to talk about and chew on throughout the football season. But the best piece, oh goodness gracious!
You can go a couple of this.
Yeah. So one thing Coach Nielsen always said is and always preached is the simple word of belief. I'll probably go with that. That's probably the one I'll go with. And the best piece is belief in yourself, that you have the ability to do it. It's gotten me to the point I am right now, and there's no reason why I can't be able to be one of those guys that gets a call here in late April, early May. Belief in your family that they're going to support you no matter what happens. Belief in the coaching staff that's coaching you, that they have your best interests at heart. And then belief in your teammates, basically, that they're going to be there for you, that you're going to be there for them, that everybody's going to do their job when it comes time to get it done. And if you don't have that belief, then that whole pyramid kind of crumbles down, and that whole infrastructure supporting you and surrounding you, and you're helping them, they're helping you, kind of falls apart. So belief, I'd say, from Coach Nielsen is probably the number one thing that I put into practice or try to put into practice in my life and in every day.
Yeah. Well, that's certainly a way to end us today. Thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely. No.
To be updated every time a new episode of the podcast drops, you can follow me at Football by Nico on Twitter. Thanks so much for listening.